leading brand and creative at Replit as the company enters its next chapter. We move pretty fast here. So from your perspective, what moment are we actually in right now?
I think we're at a point where creation stops being a technical privilege and really starts becoming a cultural one. For the longest time, really, building software meant knowing the right language, really knowing the right tools, and even understanding the right rules out there. Agentic creation really collapses that distance. What matters now isn't just can you code, but do you have intent? And so that changes how products are built, but it also changes how companies show up in the world. We're not just shipping tools anymore, we're really shaping how people understand what creation even means.
And when you think about Replit's role in that shift, what do we need to get right?
I would say clarity. When something genuinely new shows up in the world, people feel that even before they can explain that. So that gap between feeling and language is where most of the confusion lives. Our job is to give people a frame, not a hype or any kind of abstraction really, something they can recognize themselves in. And if Replit can help make this future legible on an emotional and intellectual level, we earn trust long before we earn any adoption.
And so speaking of trust, a lot of people have come to trust Replit as a developer tool. But how do you see it?
The truth is that every great tool eventually becomes a cultural artifact. Think about what phones did for photography, for instance, or what computers did for creative work in general. They didn't just change workflows, they really changed who got to participate into this. And Replit sits at that lineage. When you remove friction from creation, you don't just speed things up suddenly, you invite new voices in. And I believe that that's where culture forms.
And so leading creative and brand, how do you make decisions about how Replit should show up in the world?
You know, restraint is a decision. So when technology moves this fast, and trust me, nobody moves faster than we are here, it's easy to try to overreact. You know, you explain too much, you promise too much, you try to fill every silence. And I guess I try to do the opposite. If you really pay attention to what's out there and what's happening, what people respond to, and also what they're hesitant about, you don't need to push that hard. You can actually place the work and carefully let it do its job. Obviously, that's also where taste shows up. Not in decoration or anything, but in knowing when enough is enough.
So sometimes taste is the absence of certain elements.
Exactly.
So speaking of absence, this set feels intentional, but maybe unfinished. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, you got me there. Actually, this is how real creation works, right? Ideas are very, very fragile, and they are not being born polished. They're assembled, they're tested, they're reworked in some way, and that kind of process matters. Replit, we somewhat build in public. We even think in public. And so this space, everything you see here really reflects that. It's not chaos, but we're also not pretending there is not a mess that doesn't exist. Craft, for us, lives somewhere in between.
So unpolished, but moving very quickly. If someone watches this a year from now, what do you hope they think about Replit?
Honestly, that this wasn't just about faster or better software. It was about giving people access and autonomy without permission. To try, to build things, to put something in the world, maybe even before they themselves feel ready for it. And if we do our job right, people won't just remember what Replit made. They will remember how it made them feel capable.
How it made them feel capable. Wow. Thanks, Philip.
Of course.